Apple has $132 billion in cash and has outlined how it plans to use this money to establish dominance over the next decade. We analyzed their 58-page official 10K filings. Let's get started.
You know, if you really want to understand a company like Apple, you have to look past the slick product launches and the polished press releases. You have to go to the source. And today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're diving deep into Apple's official 2025 Form 10K filing to unlock the real story, the one it tells about its triumphs, its fears, and what's coming next.
So what is a Form 10K anyway? Well, let's be clear. This is not some glossy marketing brochure. It's more like a company's annual report card, and it's filed under penalty of law. This is the one place where they are legally required to be brutally honest with their investors about what's really going on. We're talking the good, the bad, and the legally required ugly. It's probably the closest thing we'll ever get to a company's private diary. And before you even get to the good stuff, Apple slaps this massive warning label right near the top. This is the company, in its own words, saying, hey, anything we predict about the future, well, it's not a guarantee. It's a huge disclaimer that basically tells you this whole document is as much about caution as it is about confidence. It really sets the stage. All right, let's kick things off with the side of Apple we all think we know. The first big section of the 10K is all about its business. And honestly, it reads like a Hall of Fame for consumer tech. This is the highlight reel, the greatest hits album, if you will. And of course, it all starts with the big one, right? The iPhone. The document carefully lists out the entire family, from the highest-end Pro models all the way down. And as we're going to see when we look at the numbers, this isn't just a product line. It is the financial engine that powers the entire company. Then you've got the Mac. The 10K breaks down the whole lineup of personal computers that, let's be real, changed entire industries. Everything from the super light MacBook Air to the absolute beast that is the Mac Pro. And to round out that hardware universe, you've got the iPad and the ridiculously popular wearables category. This is everything from the Apple Watch and AirPods to their big new bet, the Apple Vision Pro. This is the whole ecosystem that keeps people coming back for more. Okay, now here's where we see how all that cool hardware turns into actual money. And this is fascinating. You can see that physical products, the stuff you can hold, still bring in the lion's share of the cash, almost 3/4 of it. But look at that other slice, services. It's already over 1/4 of their business, and it is growing like a weed. That slice represents a massive strategic shift for Apple. But remember, the 10K is a two-sided coin. We just saw the highlight reel. Now, we get to the part of the story that reveals what keeps the world's most valuable company looking over its shoulder. And trust me, this is where things get really dramatic. We are now officially entering the risk factors section. This is where Apple has to, by law, tell its investors every single thing that could possibly go wrong. It's a pretty startling look into the anxieties of a titan. And here it is, the official worry list. You've got the big picture stuff, like economic recessions and global instability. Then there are things like geopolitical tensions messing with their supply chain, and of course what they call intense competition. They also have to warn about product defects and the constant threat of huge legal and regulatory fights all over the world. It's a lot. This slide just captures the core struggle for Apple perfectly. On one side, the company says flat out that its entire success depends on constant innovation. But on the other side, they describe this battlefield where competitors are always copying their features, slashing prices, and even trying to steal their ideas. It's a non-stop race to stay ahead. And if you want a perfect example of a risk made real, just look at this quote. Apple is telling us, straight up, that most of its manufacturing is concentrated in just a handful of countries in Asia. Now, that's incredibly efficient, for sure, but it also creates a massive vulnerability to any kind of trade dispute, political issue, or even a natural disaster in that part of the world. Okay, so we've seen the powerhouse products, and we've read the long, scary list of worries. So the billion-dollar question is, with all those risks, how did Apple actually do? Did any of these threats actually hurt the bottom line? Let's check the numbers.
Well, the first part of the answer is a number so big, it's kind of hard to even wrap your head around. Over $416 billion in total sales. So despite all those risks they have to list out, it's clear Apple is still a financial juggernaut of epic proportions.
So where did that insane number come from? This chart tells a wild story. The iPhone by itself brought in more money than all of their other products combined. Just let that sink in.
And look at services. At over $109 billion, it's now officially bigger than the Mac, iPad, and wearables categories put together. You're looking at the future growth engine of Apple right there.
And this breaks it down by where in the world Apple is making its money. The Americas are still the biggest piece of the pie, but you can see just how global this company is. Europe and Greater China combined make up more than 40% of their business. And that really highlights why those geopolitical and trade risks we talked about are such a big deal for them.
So, after all that, what's the big takeaway? When you put everything together, the 10K paints this incredible picture of a company walking a tightrope.
The real story of Apple, told in its own official document, isn't just about simple, non-stop success. No, it's a story of what they call dynamic tension. It's about pulling in hundreds of billions of dollars, while at the exact same time trying to navigate a minefield of economic, political, and competitive threats every single day.
And that really leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? This 10K isn't just a report card on the past year. It's a roadmap of the challenges that lie ahead. You have this titan of a company facing these giants of competition, regulation, and global uncertainty. So the great unknown is, which of those forces will define Apple's next chapter?